Greetings, my brothers and sisters, and welcome to Friday Live and the New Moon Party. Woo! So nice to be live, and so rare, as you probably know. This has been such a crazy year. I haven't been able to be live as much as I have wanted to, but I will tell you that for those who've been asking, I have all sorts of interesting things in the works, fascinating guests, interesting topics, but we're waiting for things to settle. Before we get started, I will say this is going to be a great show. As always, we'll be celebrating the new moon with our favorite, well, I won't say our favorite practical mystic because that wouldn't be fair to the other mystics, but with our fun, neighborly practical mystic, Julie Day. And later on, afterwards, I have a couple of special guests. They'll be joining me for a 2-day experiential retreat in Portland, Oregon. So I'll be talking to the two lovely ladies that will be my co-hosts. So we'll give you guys a little insight on what we'll be doing there. But first, let's talk about where the hell we are, right? Whew, deep breath. Well, let's catch you up. 1 month ago, this is kind of turning out good, actually, to check in with you guys once a month because enough happens in 1 month that I have stuff to talk about. As you probably know, to catch you up with our story, Earthlings, as they were this year in 2018, are shedding off their past life baggage and their karma and their issues. And you may go, oh, that's just wonderful. Well, it hasn't been. It's been very difficult, I think for all of us. And even I, expecting these little karma storms, have been a little taken back. It's like, wow, I was really harboring a lot of crap in my system. And over the last 2 months, over the summer here in the Northern Hemisphere, we've had retrograde hell. 6 planets were retrograde. Mars was retrograde and Mercury is retrograde. Well, as of today, the karma story moves forward. That's what I'm excited to say. Our karmic story is moving forward, and we are moving on to the story we were born to live. And this karmic story is really why everyone was doing so much preparing. Everyone was doing so much backing up and getting ready for something in the future. It wasn't just to clear our karma. It wasn't just to figure things out on our own personal level. It was to prepare for, I believe, the story we were born to live. And this month of Virgo is pretty much the first month we have where enough planets are direct that we can start to move forward with our story, which is great. Right now, though, we're in a weird kind of period, and I'm going to talk about this kind of leading into the new moon discussion with Julie Day. We're in a weird period because we're dealing with a lot of shadows. Mars currently is in its shadow, which means that Mars retrograded and it's still in the space of the retrograde. That's what shadow is, that space. And what it does mean, quite literally, is although Mars is direct, we are still working out parts of our ego's shadow. We're still working out parts of the darker sides of our ego that we need to release from. And we're still making in this, as Mars goes direct here in Aquarius, the choices that people's ego is making, right, through Aquarius is basically choosing sides for the big story we were born to live, which I like to call the Game of Thrones now, because I think it's going to be a fight for power on Earth. So it's going to be interesting. It's interesting where people's egos are. It's interesting where people's intentions are. You can see things heating up in politics in the United States anyways, but because of the United States being what it is, it's creating all these ripples around the world. I just want to say, as a fellow world citizen, I'm totally sorry. I had nothing to do with this. We, the people, are working on it, but it's complicated, as they say on Facebook, right? The other cool thing is Mercury is out of its shadow, which is awesome. So we had this retrograde where our mind was thinking about in August, what does my heart really want? What's life worth anyways? And now Mercury is out of shadow. So the good news is our thinking is straight as we move into this season. But Venus is in shadow, in pre-shadow. And she's going to go retrograde in October. What this means in a big picture of things, so I don't want to get too astrological, is this year has been a huge shakeup, in essence. We have dropped our old karma. We've dropped our old issues. And with the Mars retrograde, the question was, well, now what do we do? Now what should we aim for? Now what is worth our light? I think for people who are fighting for power, like we see in world politics, this retrograde was them contemplating what they're going to do in the next act, what they're going to do, like for their struggle for power. So we're going to see the world sort of move forward. But the universe is saying, hey, what are you going to put your ego behind? That's what the Mars retrograde. Mercury retrograde was, hey, what are you going to put your mind behind? And what we have coming up in October is the Venus retrograde, which is, hey, what are you willing to open up to as a solution? And we're going to have to deal with a lot of flexibility in trying to open up. And that's a later discussion. So that's where the karmic story is. The karmic story moves forward where we are making choices now about what side our ego is on, where we're going to apply pressure, where we're not going to apply pressure. You are making choices with your mind, whether or not to be mindful of your heart and mindful of what your heart wants in this journey. And Venus is going to retrograde, which is going to allow you to open up to different things. Basically, the universe is giving you a full chance to change your tune and march to a different beat right now. This is the chance. This is the opportunity to shift where we go. And as of Thursday, yesterday, Saturn is direct and in its shadow, okay, which means moving forward now we start making choices of power, and the choices of power we have as consequence. To put it probably the simplest, I will say this, and then we'll bring on fascinating Julie. I believe that up until now, we've been clearing karma, and most of us are not so much karma free, but we're completely karma aware now. You know where you fall in the traps. You know where you're weak. You know where you screw up, and you know better. Okay, like that's basically what the universe is saying. From this point forward, from this week forward, from this new moon forward, you are either continuing your old karma, you are creating new karma, or you are moving forward, let's say, without creating too big of a wake altogether, even if that's possible. Because I think we all make a wake when we do things forward. So with that said, we have a new moon coming up this weekend, and the best person to talk to is my good friend Julie Day. We'll be here in just a minute. There's a countdown. Our practical mystic. Welcome, Julie.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Julie. How are you?
Hi. Well, I'm not your favorite practical mystic, but am I your favorite Julie Day?
I was going into a political moment there, afraid that the other mystics would get upset. And I was like, that's not very practical mystic of me.
That's very PC. That's very making choices from the heart.
Okay, fair enough. Truth is, I go farthest back with Julie. She introduced me to the other mystics, so like we go back lifetimes. You are my favorite. I'll say it.
Hey, everyone, guess what? I have this past life memory of being Christopher's grandmother, or I should say where Christopher was my grandson. And it was a lifetime where I had this passion for spirituality, and no one around me wanted to talk about it. And then this little grandson of mine was just super eager to talk about everything. And so I finally got to share it with someone. And then here we are together, and we get to talk nonstop about it.
It's totally crazy. And I'll just lean in on that story since you're sharing it. Like Julie and I put these pieces together because I had already pieced out that I was in the American Midwest at some point and married to some Native American girl. And like I had past life reunion with this girl and Claire because she ended up getting her head scalped for marrying a white man. Whole nother story. Yeah, it was bad. And I had a lot of guilt. That's why she had to come back, because I felt responsible for it. And I think I felt responsible for it because I didn't like being married to her. So I felt really guilty when she died, because part of me felt freed. It was a bad, I had all these memories, but when I met you, Julie, I don't know if I ever told you this.
I think you did.
I had a flash memory of you in one of those crazy Western bonnet dresses with your tits up and it was like pink, and you were very kind of prudish. Like I told you, it's like kind of like the preacher's wife. You were like, and it was just one flash, and I was like, oh my God, I think I knew Julie in the 1800s or something. So then later it was like, we put together, oh, you're my grandma, and okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think you told me the bonnet thing, but you didn't tell me the rest. You conveniently left out the rest.
Oh, the breasts? Yeah, well.
No, the rest.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. The breasts. That is the rest.
And the no. That's hilarious.
Oh yeah. I've seen that. Yeah. The prude face. Yeah, you looked. I know exactly the type. I don't know how to describe it. Like you were obviously a hard nut to crack. You could tell, but like you could tell there was like gold if you got into that actual. Yeah.
I just was that past life memory of you running in the door of my room and me being just so delighted that my grandson was back in the room.
Ah,
when I met you in this lifetime.
It's so cute. It's interesting. I think I think it's an interesting lifetime. I mean, philosophically, go back in world literature, okay? Nowhere except the Bhagavad Gita are people talking about past lives. No one's talking about past lives. Not even Hemingway. You know what I mean? Like not even as this. Clearly, we've awakened because we're all talking about it and we're all having memories and we're all affirming memories. It's cool.
Yeah. And you know what? I just gave a talk this morning at this place that I'm a part of a co-working space. And
cool.
I live in Greenville, South Carolina, everybody. So it's the Bible Belt, it's conservative, Republican, this whole windstorm. And I was so nervous because once a month we share a little bit about what we do with one another. And I had finally volunteered to share what I do. And I was going to talk about astrology. And I was so nervous. I was like, I'm so used to talking to people that are just already on board. And it ended up being a great conversation. And I feel like there's a common language. We are moving forward. We're starting to share these common beliefs, such as, oneness consciousness, that we're all in this together, and everyone was shaking their head, and these are people that identify with being Christian or, Christian and Republican or whatnot. And they were, we were, even though I had a different recipe that I was presenting, they were on board with what I was saying. And it was such a moment of coming together of like, wow, something has really shifted in the collective field.
100%. I was actually, it's interesting, very interesting story because, as you know, I do readings and every now and, like constantly. And there was a reading in the last week, a person on Skype, and just a total, what has seemed like just a total country, like long hair and really was, what do you call the Beverly Hillbillies guy? Like, what's his name? Uncle Jed. Like, it was, and I was like, you watch my show or does your wife? And he's like, I've been watching now for about 8 weeks. I was like, holy crap. Like, and I went to high school in Arkansas. No prejudice. It's just like the last person I would have thought would have been interested in what I had to say in astrology. And when I started in this business, I was afraid to use the G word, God. Like people were so sensitive about what they believe or don't believe. And
I remember that for myself. Yeah.
It's loosened up. But this is exciting we bring this all up because I think there's a reason.
Yes.
I think there's a huge reason. I really do in my full heart, souls. I feel like I was born for a reason. I feel like the earth has a special opportunity in this lifetime. I think that the fact that we're waking up and we're all aware, and the fact that we're all back together again. Yeah. I think that's also super important. It's like I got my grandma from the 1800s and my wife from the 1200s and my friend from the Roman Empire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all of our so I think it's all gearing up for something exciting. And I think this new moon.
I was just about to say the same thing. That reminds me of the new moon.
Good segue. Ding. We need to come up with like some sort of oops, that's the wrong way. Bunk. Wonder Twins activate. Yeah, there we go.
Wait, is that the right way? It's showing the opposite way on my end. You got to go the other way to get me.
Oh, really? Because on my feed it shows me the correct way. That's screwed up. There's some algorithms going there. Well, first of all, how was Leo for you? Did you feel the shift from Leo to Virgo, etc.?
Leo was a game changer for me. Total game changer. I got a new car. We're about to buy a house. I got a new wardrobe. Like it was bananas. And it wasn't like glitter, it was I had to trudge up the mountain and receive and trust and follow. And so it was radical. How about for you?
It was very calm for me, but that's radical. It was calm, but that's radical. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Well,
I know.
I do feel so. It was deeply karmic, right? And I've been hearing there's this one great teacher out there, Jen and Ben Rhodey, and she has been posting for a while that those that have been in power now are going to be having their breakdowns and their breakthroughs. And those that have been in support are now going to be put in positions of power. And those that have been giving are now going to be asked to receive, and vice versa. So this to me, this eclipse portal was like, Julie, sit down, shut up, and receive. Just receive. You've got a lot coming back to you. Just receive. And like I said, it was a lesson for me. It was learning and fun. I like receiving. I found out that I like receiving.
Of course, it's wonderful. And I think the underscore there with the North Node in Leo, I think this is a radical Leo season for you guys. Like big eclipses in the last 2 years, lots of touch-ups being done on the Leo.
Yeah.
And I think for Leos, it was very much... why do I love myself again? Kind of like I had to happen. Like and every Leo I know hit a dark moment, which I love. It's always a dark Disney moment. Which as a Taurus, I'm just like, oh my God, this is good shit. Like, can we make this? I love it. I have Leo. I speak fluent Leo. Well, that's the Taurus of me to help all my fellow pride. It's just like, y'all. We'll just stomp all over it, says the bull. Like, don't worry about it, like.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It's true too. That was, I think for me, it was connecting with my heart and getting to my heart's truth and slowing down, allowing things to fall and really trying to get to my heart's truth.
Beautiful.
That was really what I was, because, digging through those games of making people happy, I so automatically make people try to make people happy and not think about my happiness.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, we got to get this order straight. At what point are we going to have happy?
Yeah, it's the infinity symbol, and that's all of life. Everything has a winter and a summer, an inhale and an exhale. So you can't just be in a happy, ecstatic, giving state. You've got to have times of rest and receiving and recovering.
I actually don't think I agree, and I don't think I think I was just in this charge mode. I mean, as far as the what we've lived and what we're going to live up until now, I was like under some sort of self-imposed deadline. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where I couldn't let myself have joy until I had met some sort of inner satisfaction or achievement. And for me, finally, I think this August was like, okay, I made it. Chill out. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, now what?
Have some fun.
Yeah, totally. So, and I think that's part of it. I certainly felt Mars go direct.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah. Because I went from like, I don't care about doing anything to, oh my God, I'm behind. And I felt it. Like, as a kid, I was like, I have this and this, and oh shit, why am I sitting around? And then I was like, and then I looked at my phone, like, oh, Mars went direct. With a combination of the Sun and Virgo, it was just like, suddenly every single detail I had on my life just came piling on my shoulders.
Yeah.
Well, here's the astrology of the new moon. Pretty powerful stuff. It's at step 17 Virgo. Step 17 is a commitment. Mm-hmm. It's a commitment of the heart and the soul. Mm-hmm. So it's a very good, it leads to purity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But some people, just as a disclaimer, some people still feel they have to, prove something or be something or do something. And so those people are probably, gearing up to prove and still play that game. It's not like you're completely free from your crap. Yeah. Right. But if you are awake, and I do think there's a generation of us who are meant to lead, who started getting awake, in the 70s, and we've been working on it. For us, I think this is this is commitment of the heart and soul, and I think we're really in good terms with our heart. We're really on good terms with our soul. So the commitment is probably the first karmic-free commitment that we might have made in our life so far, right?
Oh, I love that. It's interesting because I was looking up, all the degrees and everything, and what I was reading is that it's like 16 degrees and 59, and I was like, well, I know it's right around there between 16 and 17 degrees. And I thought it was kind of beautiful to play with both of those steps because, the power of having the sun and moon in Virgo and then the step being right between, this Piscean, heaven mystical number and the I decide, I take responsibility, I decide number. And that's what I've been feeling a lot of. And you felt Mars go direct. I felt Saturn go direct. I mean, it was like, get on mission. And that's how I'm seeing this. And it dovetails perfectly with what you were saying. Like if someone told me to stop eating bread and they told me all the health reasons why, I still wouldn't be able to do it just for that. Like, it has to be mission aligned. Now, if you told me somehow that me eating gluten or bread was getting in the way of me showing up for sessions or showing up for the work that I do in the world, I would stop it immediately. It would just be done. And so this, like, our service to the world, which is what I think of when I think of Virgo, like the humble servant, my service to the world must be aligned with something higher. And that's where I make that decision from. I must make that decision from that higher place. And I don't know. What do you think about that, Christopher?
I think it's brilliant and true. Like, regarding the 1617, for me, in my experience, I mean, this is a whole nother philosophical topic, but technically under the magical realm of the new moon, we're carried from 16 to 17 in that moment,
Ooh. Oh, I knew you'd have that ingredient. I love that.
Well, no, I do believe it. Like, if I, and so 17 is me calling the races, like, just to have a discussion with my other astrological cohorts. It's like, call it 16, but they don't walk away with 16. They walk away with 17.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's the 16 that leads to the 17. And I think it's kind of a symbol of the whole movement.
Uh-huh.
It's like 16 nets to a 7, which means our spiritual alignment.
Uh-huh.
So we align spiritually and commit.
Yeah.
And we are committing to our spiritual, direction.
Yeah.
And this is all somewhat opposing Neptune.
Mm-hmm.
Retrograde, which is pulling us to our spiritual direction. Going to your Saturn, I totally feel the Saturn responsibility thing. I think you and I, not everyone is like us. I just want to say that. Like, not everyone has this desire to tie gluten-free to our duty. Okay? Just so you know.
Okay, yeah.
That's a weird 1800s Julie thing that just carried over. You know what I mean? But here's the weird thing. You say that because God has tied it. We have a grand trine in Earth at this very moment and at the tip of it in Virgo is Pallas at step 2. So Pallas, the asteroid, is actually at step 2, creating a grand trine to Uranus at step 2, Taurus, and Saturn at step 2, Capricorn. So it's a perfect step 2 trine. Wow. And Pallas represents kind of like Pallas is where the best way to understand Pallas is where you are fixing to build a Vegas here.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Because Pallas is Jupiter's daughter, has Jupiter's credit cards. She spends like Paris Hilton.
Yes.
And Pallas is really Paris. That's actually a good way. Actually, I love that analogy. Pallas is Paris Hilton. It's like, oh my God, this is stupid. Swipe the credit card. Like, yeah. So like, we're going to be creating with Paris Hilton freedom, some sort of new reality that ties into our responsibility, Saturn, and ties into Uranus, which is everything we intend to mobilize and move forward in the future. So yeah, it's very futuristic, very exciting. Venus is at 0 degrees, which means basically open to infinity options.
Ooh, nice.
Because 0 is infinity. And Mars is at 29 Cappy, which means committing to basically infinite actions necessary. So this is like, we will open to anything, we will do anything. It's almost like a pledge, right?
Wow, so a lot of possibilities. Okay.
And Chiron is at 0, which means, and we're open to healing everything into infinity. So it's or at the moment of the new moon. So the new moon is kind of like a spiritual Polaroid.
Whoa.
I think, like the way I look at it, like it's a point of impression where, so whatever's happening in that moment, wherever your consciousness is in that moment, it's kind of like the universe goes, it becomes like kind of a fixed moment in a fluid time.
Yeah.
It becomes this moment. And I think it creates a lot of trajectories as to which way we go until we have another Polaroid moment 30 days later.
What time is the new moon happening exactly?
2:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. No, Eastern, I think, still daylight savings, isn't it? Yeah. Eastern, 2:01 Eastern, 12:01 Denver. Okay, so, and this will be on Sunday. So here's, in a nutshell, what does this all come down to the layman? Well, to the average person, on Sunday, you want to maybe do a little ceremony like church, and right around noon mass or whatever you do. You know what I mean? Like, you want to be mindful of what your heart and spirit is committed to creating on earth. That's simple, right?
Oh, I love that. And if anybody listening is interested, I do every single month. I do a new moon visioning. Now, I'll be doing it the next day. I'll be doing it on Monday at 3 p.m. over in our Practical Mystics TV room. But come on over. That's still in the light of the new moon. So
in the light of the new moon, I love it.
Yeah. Yay.
So do you have what you are creating, like a synopsis of real quick your intention before I let you go? Like, I haven't boiled mine down yet, so.
Well, my Venus is in Virgo. So everything that I'm creating is very, Venus-like. And so whenever the sun is in Venus, whenever the sun is in Virgo, I feel like my Venus really comes to the forefront, like all that I'm creating and all that I'm putting love into comes to the forefront. So, we're on the next phase of building out Practical Mystics TV and inviting in new practitioners. And then, of course, I'm a Leo. So Virgo's my second house. So there's like a whole new money game that's coming online that feels very mission aligned.
Okay.
And I've had this big shift with that over the summer that feels revelatory, and I can't wait to start like blogging about it on my personal Facebook page and tell people more, because I know a lot of people struggle with that, especially those that are light workers or healers, and I did too. I have struggled almost my whole entire adult life with finding that true alignment. I've been very fragmented with it, so I can't wait to start sharing more. How about you?
Are you talking about receiving alignment?
What?
Were you talking about your ability to receive that you were struggling with?
Yeah.
Or alignment also?
Well, when it comes to my money game, when it comes to my money game, yeah. So it's not, and for me, it wasn't really about receiving. It was about feeling that to step into this next level, that I would be leaving people behind. And so I was split. I wasn't aligned. I was split with it. Is that kind of what you were asking? I think that's it.
Well, you clarified. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I'll talk more about it, because I could go on, and I know that you have guests waiting too. So
well,
mindful.
But I think you brought up an interesting point that might have been relevant before we go, which is that, there will be a lot of parting of ways in the next 2 months with many people. That's going to be, and that's okay. We'll see them in heaven. We should never worry about that. Like, it's the nature of how things operate, and people come in cycles for different reasons, for different times. And the best analogy, really, I don't want to stay dark, but like in World War II, like when the world went through a major shift, that was the last major shift. People have their destiny. They're not always aligned. So
yeah,
trying to take it. But with modern phones, people are just a text message away.
Yes, very true. Very true. And I'm totally down with following the resonance above all else and the highest truth. So amen.
Amen, sister. Well, I'm sending you lots of love and gratitude.
Likewise, right back at you, brother.
Have a wonderful new moon. Have a wonderful ceremony. Everyone check out Practical Mystics. It is a group on Facebook. They have wonderful lightworker guidance that are all checked by Julie. So they're all vetted and amazing. Check it out at Practical Mystics.
Practical Mystics TV. Don't miss the TV, because you'll land somewhere else.
That's true, actually. Thank you, Julie.
Bye, Christopher. I love you. Bye.
Bye, honey. Love you. That was just lovely. So grateful to Julie. She is the woman, grandma from the past, who is now part of my present. So grateful. Now we're going to shift topics. Actually, this has been a perfect little setup because I believe, as I said a little earlier, that the human race is at an epic moment in our personal history. I'm going to go into this in huge depth at this Ascending Hearts seminar that I am part of, a 2-day experiential seminar where we're going to be basically trying to give people the tools to prepare for this shift and perform at their optimum. And, one of the things that I'm focusing on is some of the basics. We'll talk about it. Some of the basics that, in this long string of, I don't know how long you've been working to come into the light or come into your heart or whatever, but it's always something, always something, always something. You're always climbing up. And at some point, I think sometimes we forget how far we've come. We forget some of our basic principles. And so I'm going to kind of be doing I guess you could call it a spiritual boot camp, but I don't want to use that word because it's very gentle. That's the whole point. It's time to remain gentle. It's time to have, to be able to support yourself so that you can be your brightest in this next moment. And I'm going to go into this at the seminar, but I believe, long story short, that there was an ancient civilization on the earth that was very civilized, that had cars, that had everything that we have today. I really believe that in my heart. It doesn't matter if we believe or don't believe, but I believe that our culture has now reached the same point consciously where human beings screwed it up the last time and reset the clock back to primitive. And here we are again. So I think we've all been born for a reason. I think we've all been born for this moment. I think we all have a vote for where the earth should go. And I think we have to be well-equipped and prepared to do this. So I'd like to introduce my guest today, my 2 co-lightworker hosts of our presentation this coming up, Ascending Hearts. Please welcome, first, Cinda Lonsway. She's an author. She just released her own book, and she is a personal healer, and she helps with trauma in particular. We'll talk about that. And second, Yuri MCGaha, who is a wellness coach and Ayurvedic practitioner. Welcome, ladies.
Hi. Hello.
Sorry, I stumbled over that intro because there's a lot of information there to try to... So let's begin with you, Cinda. First of all, you're of magnificent Leo, yes?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I love. Cinda and I saw each other at an event, and we're like, oh, hello, you're royal. Yes, you are too.
It was a lovely connection.
It was, and it's led to this. I'm very excited to be working with both of you ladies. I just want to bring up, this is going to be, first of all, I should just say, this is a new 72 Media is presenting Ascending Hearts. It is a 2-day experiential event. We're going to run from like 9 to 5 both days. It's in Portland, Oregon. It's at this quaint little, charming little church. And we're going to be focusing on bringing people into their hearts and whatnot. Now, that said, I have these 2 amazing ladies as my fellow practitioners. Cinda is going to be handling spirit and heart. So Cinda, tell me what your thoughts are about where humans are, and tell me about where you're hoping to bring our audience.
Right. So the theme is mind, body, spirit, stars. And you're the stars and the star. And I'll be talking about how to energetically be aware of where we are and what we're doing. And be aware of where our energy is and what is our energy and what is not. And how is my sound, Christopher? Should I take off my ear? Okay.
You're okay, yeah. Yeah, you're coming in clear.
Good. Okay. So the goal for the event is to, on day 1, is to become centered and aware and clear of our own energy, and then grow and expand and send our clear, beautiful energy out into the world, specifically the lighter, higher vibrational energy that you'll be guiding us through and talking about that afternoon. I really want to take what you're going to be talking about and then give the audience the tools necessary to live through and be part of everything that you're going to be talking about. So we feel a little bit more empowered. I'm always about empowerment, always about empowerment. And then day 2, we're going to do a deep dive into the heart. You've been talking a lot this last month, and I know going into next month and going into the end of 2018 and into 2019, it's going to be imperative that we are fully aware of our heart center and what our heart needs, wants, and desires are. So I'm going to be walking people through a deep dive ritual around that and actually get them to the point where they can listen to their heart and have their heart communicate with them where they need to go. And then that will bring a sense of pure clarity for them to continue on throughout the route.
That's amazing. Okay, well said. Much better articulated than me, I have to say. But 100% on point. I think that, getting back to the beginning, we're about to go through a transformation, as you said, Cinda, as I mentioned, I think in the next 2 years, probably the most profound change we've ever witnessed in our life. I think many of us came here to bring love and joy and compassion back to the earth. And your point is 100% our mission, which is the only way we're going to help rescue the earth is if we stay in our heart and not allow fear or manipulation or propaganda or any of these other distractions to take us out of the heart. And we have to stay in our heart because our heart has the highest answer in every situation. It's just that simple. We don't even have to talk about spirituality. Who cares? It's the heart. And to add to what you're saying, I'm going to give the audience a little bit of construction advice as far as where we have come as a society on Saturday, and then talk a little about the architecture of humans and the several voices that we have, particularly the voices that interfere with the heart, and really trying to help people identify where the interference is. And then in the second day, using data that we have from my Serious Joy service, we're going to dive into how to interpret their purpose and their mission on Earth and what to focus on in their performance, what they must focus on to stay in their heart and stay focused on their mission.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect, Christopher. I'm so excited. It's going to be an amazing weekend. I'm so grateful.
I am too. And then very important, and Yurita, you have been so sweet and patient. What's your astrology sign, sweetie? I don't even know. I don't know if I can do this until I know your date of birth.
I'm a Leo.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
You guys do make a wonderful team. Yes.
Oh my God! Bring your sunglasses. It is going to be.
Yuri, what is your birthday?
August 4th.
Oh, she's okay. And yours? And just
mine is the 7th.
Oh my God! That's a conjunction. That's crazy. Yeah. And I'll have to look up. I'm not sure what step number. What step number are you, Cinda? Do you know? Maybe not. Don't. Okay, it's all right. I was hoping to cheat by asking you. So, here's the other aspect, which is super important. People can talk love and in their heart all day, but the truth is, our bodies have been poisoned, and we are living in a poisoned society everywhere, chemicals everywhere, threats everywhere. And that is why we have beautiful Yurita to help us with Ayurvedic nutrition. So tell us what you're going to help us with, Yuri.
Well, my contribution will be leading you guys to more knowledge, how to detox, how to let go of what doesn't serve you anymore, and how to open and how to start healing, healing yourself. There's a lot of Vedic knowledge that goes with the elements, the earth, the fire, the wind, the space, everything takes place. What happens outside in the world happens within yourself too. So we have been poisoned. Yes, that could be one way to say it, but we also are poisoning ourselves. We have to take responsibility about, how we function, how we nourish ourselves, not just food. Food is actually, people get confused a little bit about food because food is actually the third. The most important source of food is oxygen. We cannot live without breathing. We can live without food perhaps, a week, 2 weeks. We can live without water for a week maybe, but we cannot live without air. And oxygen, we cannot last, but, a couple minutes. So food is just, food is how we take it in, it's how we prepare it, what intention we put in it, what seasons we have, what's growing in your area, what's grounding, and what has more of the air qualities. And depending on your constitution, which actually I'm going to be very, very happy to share a test with you to get to know you, what makes you, what elements. We are all made out of the same elements. One or two sometimes are more predominant than others or weaker than others. And my purpose is to make sure that all of the elements are working, they are aligned with you. Equilibrium is what the Vedics and Ayurveda practices, disease is just that, disease. So just bringing balance, and not just balance with food, but balance with what we are going to collectively bring to everyone, mind, body, and spirit. And I am very, very excited to share recipes with you, to share, a little bit of the background of Ayurveda, which is 5,000 years old. So, it has been around for so many thousands of years. So it's not a trend. It's not something that's going to go and disappear. It's knowledge that was passed through generations. And I'm only doing that. I'm passing it to you so that you can pass it through to others and, continue. So my cat behind wanted to, can you see it?
Must be a Leo. Must be another Leo.
I'm going to be preparing the meal for you guys that's going to, set you in that, in that mindset, okay, so I feel good, food that's make me feel good. And essentially is how can we bring this new year, with knowledge, and so that we have no fear, because fear is lack of knowledge. And so once you have all of these tools, you're set. And I'm so excited to be sharing the energy with you guys, the space with you guys.
Thank you. I'm excited because, to be honest, the food supply, you're completely right. It's about balance. Yes. It's about energetic balance. It's not just food. But food is super important. I'm very interested in 5,000-year knowledge on what we should be eating. I really am. Because I think modern science and productization and everything has taken our diet so off course. I don't know if dairy is good for me or not good for me anymore. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I'd like to know the ancient Vedic approach. And I feel like that knowledge, it's like astrology. I see the parallels because modern psychology, I don't think understands people at all. I don't think it does whatsoever. I think people waste lots of time not getting to the core of their issues. I can see that astrology's 2,000-year science, it has more accuracy than our modern knowledge. So I'm looking forward to learning about yours and seeing the truth there.
Yes. Spoiler alert, medicine is simple. Medicine, food is medicine, and food should be simple. It's not complicated. So it's gonna be wonderful. It's going to be something that you are gonna come out thinking, wow, it's so simple.
Well, and Yuri, you just won't be talking about it. You'll be feeding us as well.
Yes.
I will be talking and feeding you too. Yes. And about what you were saying about modern medicine and modern psychology, is that they see the body as just one body. We are very different. We are made out of so many elements. We have a history behind. And my grandma used to say, look at your hands, they're so different. So how are you supposed to treat one person with one medicine? We are all very different, and even food, is taken differently from one another.
Yeah. I was recently, I was watching while I was on my back with no energy because I went through adrenal burnout. I'll just tell you that, Yuri. I burned out my adrenals, which I'm sure you'll have something to say about it. But I was watching Gaia TV and Diet.com. They have a lot of alternative stuff. Long story short, they were saying that, allegedly our genetic code was advanced and pushed. It wasn't that we naturally evolved. We were pushed. The argument is by an alien species or whatever, who knows? But what was very interesting about it is apparently the way they upgraded our DNA was through the food they had us eat.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, what you are is what you eat.
Yes.
And that they had found the ties of how we eat to how to transform our bodies and things like that. So I see the power of it. I think it's fascinating. I really do.
Yes, and our bodies are not functioning. Our cells, the immune system that's the one in guard, it's no longer functioning the way it's supposed to be because, the antibiotics they're giving the animals and, all of these, chemicals that go into our fields and, the pesticides and herbicides, they have an effect on our body too. And so our immune system is not able to help us anymore. And so then we have, dairy, gluten, all kinds of rejections, and our bodies are not supposed to reject anything. And so you are completely right. It's surprising what we eat. And sometimes even if you're making the best choices, you don't know what's behind that. You don't know the energy behind the food. You don't know how it was produced. And
the energy that goes into it. Absolutely.
Yes. Making farmers our friends. We need to do that. We need to go to farmers markets and make everyone our allies.
That is true. We'll be talking about that localization too. You both are independent practitioners in your own right. You have your own client base. Let me switch to Cinda. Working with the heart, I'm wondering, what is the common issue you seem to come across with people and them connecting to their heart?
When I walk people through the ritual that I originally created for myself, and a quick little story is I created it for myself a few years ago, maybe 8 years ago, when I was really at a point in my life where I was really confused. What do I want to do? What is my purpose? Where am I supposed to be going? It was specifically more professionally than personally, but and I got really quiet and I started to ask myself deep questions. And I realized that there was a layering process because the first voice that comes out of you is not your heart. It's not your soul. It's not your spirit. It is your mind. It is your thoughts. It's your identity. It's your idea. It's your ego. And it has a lot to say. So the first step is I just have people do a lot of writing and trying to do this, what we call a brain dump, trying to get everything out of your brain. So to answer your question, what comes up the most is, what am I listening to? What is speaking to me? Is it my spirit? Is it my heart? Is it my soul? Is it my ego? Or is it my thoughts? Is it real? Can I trust it? And I realized for myself when I was doing this, that there was this process after I did the brain dump, which was all this ambition, all these goals. They were specific. They involved money and things and places and events and people. And then I got quiet again. And then I felt the energy go down in me and it sort of landed in my throat. And so, and I felt the energy there, and I work a lot with energy. I'm very in tune with my own energy. And I thought, wow, what is this going on in my throat? And so I started to ask myself the same questions, and I felt the energy come out of my throat. Well, back then I wasn't aware that, of course, that's my throat chakra, which is telling me that I'm speaking a truth. And I thought, this is fascinating. And then I got quiet again and I just went deeper, and it hit me in the middle of my gut. Well, actually in the middle of my chest. And it was so solid and so emotional. And I started to write, and what came out of me was so profound and so clear and so beautiful and humbling. And in that moment, I knew and yeah.
We're losing her, huh? Are we disconnected? Or are we just losing her? Are you there, Yuri?
I'm here.
Oh, hi.
She wouldn't be quiet anymore.
Oh, there she is. You came back. I'm sorry. We lost the last chapter.
Oh dear. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay.
No, it's okay. It's technology. It's not you. Go ahead. So you said you got into your heart and it was very, very clear. Oh, we lost her. Oh, we lost her entirely. Okay. So let's switch. Oh, here she's back. Here we go.
Wow. I'm so sorry. I don't know why that happened.
We just had a Clairol commercial and we're back. So you were saying you felt it in you felt this truth in your heart, and that's I think where we lost you, where you felt all this clarity and truth in your heart. And I identified what you're saying. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the heart, I gave her a voice and I heard her speak literally through words that I wrote down on the piece of paper. And and it occurred to me that I had never given her a voice before. I didn't even know she had a voice. And when she started to speak to me for the first time, I knew that she would never be silent again. I knew that I would have to listen to her, and I would need to check in with her with every decision I made from this point forward.
Brilliant. And when was that?
That was about 8 years ago.
Wow.
And since then, I've guided many people and many groups through this heart-centered ritual. And I've even created the ritual for businesses, for people who are entrepreneurs. It's called Building a Heart for Your 10 Man, 10 Woman. The 10 Man, 10 Women being your business. Because I feel like if we could bring life to our business, then it can work for us energetically while we're sleeping even. And that our heart is just that powerful. It's just that powerful. So
it's true. And I don't know who's, for those who are watching, that may sound a little hokey. I got to tell you, I have so many clients that they come to me and they're unhappy and they're feel bad of themselves and they don't know what they want and they don't know what they should do, and they don't know if there's anyone out there who will ever love them, and they fall in these pits of despair. And do you know what the diagnosis is? You have lost connection to your own heart.
Right.
Exactly what Cinda just talked about. You are not talking to your heart. All is talking is your ego and your mind. And I think, psychology has done us a huge disservice. This is something I'm going to talk about, but we really are crazy. We really do have 12 voices going on inside of us. You know what I mean? And more if you add telepathy and picking up from angels and other things. And I think part of our being asleep is we were just assuming it was all the same voice. And it turns out it's many voices and many other people's voices. And they all have very subtle frequency variations. But I completely hear what you're saying, Cinda. And when your heart finally does get to be heard, you do rejoice like a cheesy Jerry Springer episode. You do. You know what I mean? It's so cheesy. And even the whole time you're like, I know I look so stupid right now. But that's a Leo talking, right?
But and Christopher, what also is pretty profound is I have learned now that I've done this ritual quite a lot with other people, is that it almost needs to come with a warning label. Yeah. Because once your heart is given a voice and once you have listened to him or her, like I said before, it will never be silent again. And what that means is if you make decisions that are out of alignment with your heart, and you know better, your heart is going to win. Your heart will win regardless. So, for example, if you are in a job that isn't in alignment with your heart and you choose to stay, then your heart is going to energetically create a reason for you to quit. Now, you can do it knowingly and be empowered and make decisions accordingly. And this could be work, relationships, anything, even with what you are deciding you want to eat for the day. But if you make a choice that is not in alignment with your heart, after you have given your heart a voice, after you know better, then your heart will energetically make sure that he will still get its way, and either it will be painful or it will be easy. Mm-hmm. And if things become painful, and if you experience suffering, it's probably because you're out of alignment. And go on.
I was just going to add with yourself, just a distinction. It's like, yeah, my heart does enjoy helping people, but my heart on a deeper level wants things for me. You know what I mean? That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
That I think a lot of light workers think they're listening to their heart because they're being loving and they're caring and they're always loving people and they think they're in touch with their heart, but they're not in touch with they're not really having conversation with your heart. And like you said, I think once you break and have conversation with yourself, you're right. I think your heart will sabotage regardless, whether you're listening to it or not. You know what I mean? But then once you have spoken to your heart and you try to do something against it, I don't know about you, but I feel horrible. The heart's just like not going to allow it, as you said. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Cinda.
Well, and then the other takeaway that I have experienced is when you are in alignment and when you do follow the guidance of your heart and you do make choices based on that alignment, then you are carrying an energy which is bigger and more powerful than just you. And yes. I have seen people that when they are living in alignment with their heart, they change everyone around them.
That's very true.
And
yes.
There's been healings, of people who are suffering, because when we walk in alignment with our heart, we alter or we give permission for people to do the same, not even with our words, but with our actions and the energy that exudes out of us, because we are so resonating with our truth. And being love and being kind and being nice. Yeah, that's heart energy, but it might not always be heart action, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Loving action on behalf for you. Right. Being loving directly to you. I think that's where light workers get a little confused. And I think they actually live vicariously off of that. Like, there's a 20% joy of loving people. You love it, you enjoy it too. And I think a lot of light workers who I tend to attract get caught because they don't realize they're not talking to their heart. They're not talking to their truth because they're being so loving all the time. Yuri, how about you? What in your coaching, what are you seeing your clients facing again and again?
Well, it's precisely that, the disconnection. Really? Yeah, it is. It's all connected. And you guys were talking about the voices. In the Toltecs, the ancient Toltecs call that a mitote. Mitote is when you go to a place, almost like a bar, and everyone's talking. And it's only a distraction. That's the ego, that's the mind. It's just a distraction so that you don't hear the heart, the heart is very quiet, has a very sort of way of talking and listening to you. And so, but the words and the shadow boxes, win sometimes. So I think we have a disconnection sometimes, a disconnection to our, mind, body, and spirit. And my service and my purpose is to help them, to be a way of guiding them and finding their true self. Because at the end of the day, I don't want them to heal through my thought of healing. I want them to be in charge of their divine light. We all have a purpose. We all have a desire within ourselves, our dharma. And sometimes what we tend to do is to sort of want them to have our dharma, our purpose, for them to live. And in my practice, I'm very, very careful into shining the light on individually, and making sure that they find that light and that they find their purpose. And yeah,
that's beautiful.
Yes.
It sounds like we're all three aligned then. This is going to be a spectacular, fun event.
Yes.
I'm excited.
We are doing it. We are.
I'm excited to be in your presence too. It's going to be great. I'm excited to learn from both of you. It's so nice to put my feet up and be guided too. The co-work. Is that your kitty? Is that your Leo cat there in the background?
It's my cat. It's my cat now. Sorry.
Oh, really? It's some little Leo saying I'm more important than you, right? Like, meow.
I can't believe he's choosing to do that right now.
So funny. Well, just for everyone, I will remind you, we are doing this Ascending Hearts experience for 2 days, September 22nd and September 23rd. This will go roughly from 9 to 5. You've heard how the days break down. And we actually I just spoke to Kelly, our organizer, who is wonderful. I just want to do a shout out to Kelly. She's amazing and a quiet but very powerful force in the background of what you see here. She was telling me that a lot of people have schedule conflicts and they can only make one of the 2 days. So what we did was we made the opportunity, if you want to come one of the 2 days, we split the ticket and you can do a 1 day fair as well. So I hope that everyone who watches me, I have a huge audience in Portland, so I'm crazy hoping that you come out and give me a hug. Anything else you'd like to say, ladies? Cinda?
I just want to say, too, that, we're going to be speaking individually about our expertise, but then at the end of both days will be a panel and we'll all three be on stage together where we can answer questions. And the beauty of that is that we can give an answer based on all of our expertise. And I am really looking forward to that. I think that will be an incredible opportunity to learn from each other and to hear our take on each answer. So
thanks for bringing that up. Completely. I'm excited about that too.
Yeah,
I love multidiscipline learning. I love seeing the whole picture at once instead of these fragments. It's going to be exciting. And how about you, Yuri? Do you have anything to add before we say goodbye?
Likewise, I feel I'm excited to be sharing the panel and answering questions and also getting to know the audience. What are their needs? What are their worries? What is it that they want to? Because at the end of the day, they are the ones that sort of make me want to learn more, make me want to dig a little deeper into what's going on, what is collectively. Every decade we have different illnesses, sometimes nervous system illness or gut issues, but we are collectively, aligned, so to see what their weaknesses might be or where their strengths might be or how they want to reinforce what they have and welcome this new change and new transition. Yeah, I'm looking forward to everything.
Yeah, well, that was great, and you're right. I love that. I was just realizing when you were saying that I'm kind of spoiled that I work on the internet because I get a lot of feedback, from my viewers. And you're right. It's it allows me to cater and understand what's going on in the front line, and it also affirms a lot of stuff that I thought I was crazy about. I'm like, oh, you're having that too? Thank God. So it's great. Well, ladies, I cannot wait to see you. I love you both. I'm grateful. Thanks for coming on the show in such short notice. I know we hit you right up after Labor Day.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Christopher. Thank you very much.
We'll see you in Portland soon. 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I just want to say for everyone who's interested, if you'd like to take more information about our cool event with Cinda and Yuri, this is the first time I'm working in this team environment, team practitioner environment, so it's super exciting and fun for me. Visit wateki.live. That'll hyper bounce you to the new 72 Media website where we have all the information, and tickets are there available. There's a little video there, so it'll be awesome. I also want to thank everybody for being you and being a part of this. I think this is an exciting moment in human history. I'm sure grateful that we are together. I'm grateful that we come together on a regular basis. I think we've proven to each other that we are a community, even though it is digital and widespread. I think we have become a soul family, and I'm grateful for that. So thanks for everyone for showing up and being a part of my soul family. I guess you'll see me on Monday with more for Namaste Today. Until then, remember, friends, I love you. Live, love, be.